I'm John Wilson. Welcome to Owned and Operated.
Danny, you are the owner of Home Service Engine. Tell us a little about your background. Where were you prior to this? What were you doing?
My career started with IBM. When I was 20, I essentially, for the first 10 years of my career, I worked for the largest technical companies on the planet. So I worked for IBM, I worked for Apple, and I worked for a company called Hewlett Packard. And pretty much I'm doing a lot of what I do now, but I help Fortune 500 companies maximize the tech investment they made with IBM or Apple or Hewlett Packard. After that, I had an agency for about 6 years where I did a lot of CRM and marketing rollouts and did a lot of construction work. And then, so I kind of, with what I'm doing now, it's taking my family upbringing of home services and my professional skill set of tech and doubling down on the home services space. And obviously ServiceTitan is just where everything's headed.
That's awesome. That's where the need is, trying to find that niche and really extrapolate on that, especially with your family. Why ServiceTitan? Like, how did that domino fall that one day you're running your marketing agency and you go, man, my brothers are having a hell of a time with ServiceTitan. They cannot figure it out. It is a beast in itself. Or was it somewhere else that you found that?
Well, it was a couple of things. One, when my brothers had first started, I'm always talking to them and we're talking about tech. And so I had recommended Salesforce. And this was obviously a very long time ago. And there's been a lot of different CRMs in the home services space since then. But, we're always talking about tech, and marketing, in my opinion, is tech. Whether you're doing marketing or ads or website or CRM, it's everything starting to blend together in the tech side. And as you guys know, with ServiceTitan, like, marketing is built into the tech. So yeah, that was really how it started. I think what happened with me, I just started doing a lot of different construction type of jobs. And like you said, on the niche down, you might as well just focus on one segment and try to expand from there, if that makes sense.
No, it completely does. And so there wasn't really a defining moment where you looked at ServiceTitan and went, wow, this is a headache, let me crack this, or you just eased your way into it with multiple jobs?
I think working with so many different CRMs, you kind of, in the home service space, obviously ServiceTitan is number one. And also just seeing how much headache it is sometimes with the system. We're very data driven, right? So even if you just look at the reporting and the KPIs and trying to set up the system in a way to where it's easy for you to pull out the data and trust the data, that's why, in my opinion, most CEOs buy ServiceTitan, is because you want a platform that you can scale with to where you can trust the data, you can trust the job costing. And so, not to strum the violin, but so many home service companies aren't profitable. And I think ServiceTitan is really the tool that I think we're all looking to say, okay, I can finally see how profitable I really am or aren't. And that's a lot of where we're getting called, is to say, I don't trust the data. I want to understand how I'm performing. And I think that's why there's such a surge right now with ServiceTitan. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, honestly, our story with ServiceTitan is we started in March of this year, or in 2023. So we've been running ServiceTitan now for 7 or 8 months. And that's exactly how I feel it is. I know there's a purpose to it. I know that there's a pathway, but to find every single pathway and set it up correctly and move through the entirety of ServiceTitan so that you get the good data in to get the good data out is such a nightmare. We don't have the vendor management inventory set up. We're not using equipment correctly. Like, there's just so much to it. And because it's such a big elephant, we're just taking really tiny bites out of it at a time. We'll get there eventually. But I mean, I love this idea of home, having somebody, a consultant, come in and help you line it out and help the people on your team that are doing this to line it out.
Yeah, so we're 7 years into ServiceTitan. And I wish this existed 7 years ago, or like this type of thing, because somewhat over the last 7 years, we've had to continually redo how we originally set it up in the first place. Because when you're a small business and you're bringing on a large platform, or large anything, who's usually in charge of the rollout when you're like a $2-3 million business? It's like whoever's answering your phones is typically who's going to roll it out. That's what we did, and that's what everyone else that I've seen has done. So everything is backwards, and you end up having to redo it. Like dumb stuff like naming. Like, what's your naming strategy? Because that matters. You don't think it matters when there's only like 1,000 people in your CRM, but when you have 100,000, with different naming strategies, because whoever was the manager at that moment, that's really hard to undo. We've had to rebuild our membership program 3 or 4 times. I don't even know what price book we're on, 7 or 8 now. But yeah, it's a real nut to crack. And like what most people would do is they try to hire somebody smart, or you can go get like, now there's a little bit more support around it, like new folks, for example, but it's also the software's been around. So more people have experienced it compared to 5 years ago when it was like not a thing. But yeah, it's a cool thing. I'm into it. All right. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Good seeing you guys.